Francisco Pizarro was a Spanish conquistador of the 16th century who led the expedition that defeated the Inca Empire and established Spanish rule in Peru. However, his legacy is complex and often oversimplified in popular historiography. While he did lead the conquest, it is important to highlight that he did so with the help of a small group of Spaniards and thousands of native warriors who opposed the Incan regime. Furthermore, despite his success, he was unable to maintain peace in the region and faced numerous indigenous rebellions and internal conflicts among the conquerors. Pizarro was born in poverty in Trujillo, Extremadura, in 1478 and barely knew how to read and write. At the age of 20, he joined an expedition to Latin America and his life changed forever. Over the years, he participated in several expeditions and suffered many notable failures. Pizarro's personality is also controversial. Some describe him as a brave and astute hero who fought for the glory of Spain, while others see him as an ambitious, ruthless, and cruel man who caused the death of thousands of people and destroyed a millennia-old culture. The truth probably lies somewhere in between, as historical reality is often more complex than any simplified narrative. After years of failures and disappointments, Pizarro finally found success in the conquest of the Inca Empire in 1532. With a group of Spanish conquistadors at his side, led by Diego de Almagro and Hernando de Soto, Pizarro managed to subdue the Incas and capture their leader, Atahualpa. Although this was a great triumph for the conquerors, not everything was easy after the conquest. He had to deal with several challenges on the coast of Peru. Establishing a colony there was not an easy task, especially due to the difficulties he faced in finding a suitable and safe location. Additionally, the resistance of the local natives did not make things easier. Thus, he was forced to fight to protect his settlement from the attacks of the Incas and other indigenous groups. The struggle for survival in these hostile conditions was very difficult. The Spanish colony was isolated, unsupported, and with few provisions. Diseases and the lack of food and potable water were constant concerns. The settlers had to work hard to keep the colony standing, building fortifications, farming the land, and hunting animals for food. In this challenging environment, Pizarro demonstrated his bravery and leadership. He was a determined and persistent man who did not give up easily. Despite the difficulties, he continued to work to consolidate Spanish power in the region. Pizarro was one of the most important conquerors in Latin America, and his legacy continues to be a subject of controversy and debate to this day. In addition to these problems, Pizarro also had to deal with internal conflicts with his fellow Spanish conquistadors. The relationship between Francisco Pizarro and Diego de Almagro had become tense after the conquest of the Inca Empire. Pizarro had been given the title of governor of Peru, while Almagro had been given the title of governor of Chile. But they both had different opinions on the limits of their respective territories. This dispute reached a critical point when Almagro decided to invade Cuzco, the capital of the Inca Empire. Pizarro responded quickly and captured Almagro. After a quick and controversial trial, Almagro was sentenced to death and executed. This act left Pizarro in a precarious position, as he had alienated many of his followers. Soon after, Pizarro was also assassinated by a group of conspirators led by a former supporter of Almagro. The deaths of Pizarro and Almagro marked the end of the era of Spanish conquistadors in Peru and paved the way for the consolidation of Spanish rule in the region. However, it is also a reminder of the brutality and violence that often accompanied the conquest and colonization of Latin America. Although Pizarro is known as a brave and cunning man, he also faced financial and political troubles in his career. At one point, he even had to sell his house to finance an expedition. Furthermore, despite his success in the conquest of the Inca Empire, he was not the only Spanish conquistador involved in this enterprise. Others like Diego de Almagro and Hernando de Soto also played a significant role. The figure of Pizarro has also been the subject of controversy. In recent years, there has been greater recognition of the atrocities committed by Spanish conquistadors during the conquest of Latin America, including the murder and enslavement of indigenous peoples. While the figure of Pizarro is worthy of study for his role in the history of Latin America, it is also important to remember and acknowledge the difficult reality of Spanish conquest. In summary, the figure of Francisco Pizarro is much more complex than what is commonly seen. While it is true that he led the conquest of Peru and was one of the main Spanish conquistadors in Latin America, he also had many failures and moments of bad luck in his career. These details add a more complex layer to his figure and remind us that history is often more complicated than it appears at first glance. We hope this video has been useful in learning more about Francisco Pizarro and his legacy in the history of Latin America. Thank you for watching.